Hey guys, Insurgencey here, and today I'm doing something a little bit different. Now, today I'm actually going to be doing a theory video on 13 Reasons Why Season 2, the second trailer that was released. Now, 13 Reasons Why is a Netflix original series. It's a fictional series which takes tough, serious issues such as sexual assault, substance abuse, and suicide, and more of these types of topics into consideration. If you or someone you know needs help finding crisis resources, visit 13reasonswhy.info. For viewers under 15, I advise viewing at own discretion because there is a lot of heavier issues being spoken about in this video. In the open sequence, it brings us to the first scene we saw in 13 Reasons Why Season 1, Hannah's locker. As obvious as it seems, it signals the start and brings us back to the mourning the fans have with the loss of Hannah Baker. In the second clip I've looked at, Bryce is glaring at Clay. Now at this point I wonder what the story. Bryce glares lingers, so I sense that he's already being accused of rape. And not just by Clay, like he was in Season 1.
It felt like this whole thing was going to be over, but it's not.
These two quotes have 6 nearly 7 second interval leading to a suspenseful start, but with the death of Hannah and the uncertainty of fate of Alex after the gunshot wound, which may or may not have been Tyler's doing, as well as what's going to happen to the tapes in the hands of Councilor Porter, as well as Hannah's mum. Tensions are high with a lot at stake. Next clip is a photo that falls out of Clay's locker. At first I thought it depicted Bryce with another girl, which I later found out is Cypress's sister, but on closer inspection I thought the basic features resembled more Justin than Bryce. It's occurred to me that the Polaroid on first, second and third look I referenced to the style following Tyler's MO, but he uses a digital camera, not a Polaroid one. Developing photos normally take much longer, so this could be a faster way to spread new photos. Here's where another thought occurred to me. Digital cameras don't need developing, and that way it eradicates the theory that it's Tyler, but in case I'm wrong, as it did appear to need a darkroom in Season 1, so maybe Tyler has a big evil master plan? Or he's being framed? Or both? These are what I suspect anyway. Back to the original point I was making. The girl in the photo doesn't appear to be Hannah or Jess, so who is she? This thought was backed up by the writing on the back saying Hannah wasn't the only one. Now, we already knew Hannah wasn't the only one, we knew that it was Hannah and Jess. But there's more than that, as we've since found out.
What are you going to do about that?
With the next clip we were met with Hannah questioning Clay. Hannah we see is actually his form of reasoning, with her asking if
What are you going to do about that?
is his way of saying he's going to have to do something, and if so, what's he going to have to do? We know the tapes have surfaced. Maybe this is how he's going to tell the jury, or it could be another one of his scenarios made up, similar to when he asked her what was wrong rather than leaving it a request as he did in Season 1. And we're back to the Polaroid picnic. As I stated, it may not be Tyler, but it makes me wonder who is orchestrating this. Marcus is the next face we see. I wonder if this few seconds where he sees the car is maybe him going to his court summons. Going by his attire, I'd guess it was, but I wonder if it leads to another scene maybe later on in the trailer, which I will mention. The scene is followed by Tony burning papers. Looking close at the papers, they seem to be handwritten notes, which make me conclude that he was done watching to make sure the tapes are passed along, and this is him burning away Hannah's last request. I find at this point that the trailer starts to get darker on Jessica when you see the picture in Tyler's normal photographic medium. I think this could be set up as it doesn't seem like Tyler would scratch out words in the photo which read, "Who would believe a drunk slut?" Now this seems directed toward Jessica going by her shock and the fact that it looks like her in the photos. Now, I could be wrong. I could be wrong about all this. No. So, Season 1 we knew Justin was abused by his father. Now, this scene here reignites this. It shows that it's still ongoing. So in the next scene, I don't actually recognise the character, but he's doing a finger gun, you know, a little pew, which may sometimes appear like a little flirty, like, yeah. It also seems to be foreshadowing, which is backed up with the way the Clay jolts awake. When Clay wakes, he's starting like clutching his head. Clay reacts, he seems stressed, but it makes me wonder if there's something else there, like regret, maybe even guilt. So next we see Ryan drawing circles. This could just signal how bored he is, but for me that seems like too simple a conclusion. He seems uninspired, maybe something plaguing him. Well, he's got his court case and all that. So with that going on, tensions will be high. With the court case going on, everyone's tense. No one knows who's actually going to tell the truth and who's just going to have this elaborate backstory, a hoax to tell them. At this scene here, you see where I feel that Tyler might have actually been framed and forced to help. The moment could have been exploited in order to get the printed photos, or Tyler could have actually been bullied into helping as his only solace away from the bullying. Now, I'd like to remind you that at the end of season we do see his stash of guns, which he may or may not have targeted another student. If you remember, he took down the photo of Alex after the announcement. A student had a gunshot wound to the head. The next scene we see three figures, one of which is Sherry, the ex-head cheerleader. Now, sifting through the photos, which at first I thought was Bryce, but in closer inspection there isn't anyone remotely similar. On the table it looks like some sort of pill. Were the three on drugs? Now that was my first question, but then I zoomed out and looked at the whole picture and realised it was actually detailing on the table.
You don't know what was happening in this photo.
The next quote pointed out that we don't actually know what's happening in the photos and we don't know what's happened next, leading me to believe it might be an elaborate setup to try to disprove Hannah's tapes. If this is the case, then we can believe that the trio has a lot to lose. Sherry would be charged with unintentional manslaughter, which makes sense why she might be involved. Clay looks as though he's in the frame with Sherry, but what can this mean? Clay wouldn't have had the same goals, so I wonder if all the photos that they three collectively have together have all been photos that have surfaced around them. What I wonder is if the photos actually surfaced in order to put a stop to some of the events taking place at Liberty High. All evidence in their own regards, but admissible by court. The next photo we see isn't what catches my interest, but it's the reflection of Clay. Is he planting the photo or taking it? I'd assume he wouldn't cover what happened to Hannah, but on the flip side of the note it said he won't stop. This could be directed towards Bryce.
We're all in this
The next scene we have Zach and Bryce team up. Initially I thought that to be the case, but they are both part of the basketball, so do they have an ultimate goal or are they just keeping up good appearances for the team? The setting being in the locker room? I'd guess the latter. So the councilor is staring at Tyler. I'm wondering if he's trying to get Tyler to come forward with the bullying, trying to be more proactive after the tapes from Hannah landed on his lap. But then with the medium of the news source of anguish, is he assuming that Tyler is the one behind it? I did so for my initial theories.
Don't you know about what
Sherry
goes
looks a
on at the
little
school?
worse off in this sequence. She's talking presumably to the councillor. When she's talking to the councillor, I believe that she's actually referencing the bullying, the abuse, the rape, and even stalking events that have been going on. All things that led Hannah down the path towards her end. That or they can't prove it, which when correlating with the next scene when Jessica looks down. This is a sign in victims of abuse, but could also be a sign of fear.
This is proof of who they all are.
But it only appears to be one person in the photo. I think it may be Cypress, the brother of one of the victims that had been raped by Bryce, but they never appear in season 1, so maybe she left due to the circumstances, or she could be a new girl that's only just been introduced in a new season coming on the 18th of May.
The truth doesn't always make things right.
The truth to Jessica was harder as it showed that Justin didn't stop Bryce, made her feel more betrayed.
The truth doesn't always make things right.
So this might have been a group ploy to out the truth in their own terms and not by others. In the next scene we see someone breaking in. This theory correlates to the vandalism we see in photos from the original trailer. These could be simple warnings rather than extreme. I'm not sure who would do such. The scene is followed by two people running away. The first is unknown, but Tyler looks back. My guess it's the new guy, Cypress, the brother to the red-haired girl. This makes sense with the attacks. It makes me wonder, maybe Tyler was in on it, maybe he's fed up of being to blame. Yes, I know I've been completely indecisive with Tyler, but there's always two sides to a story. So in summary, I think Tyler and Cypress are working together to expose Bryce for raping the female student body when they're intoxicated and don't give any permission. But they aren't only going after Bryce, anyone that may have forced someone else without consent.
It's gonna keep happening.
So at this point I'm going to assume that there has been attacks on the people that were mentioned on the tapes. This would lead to everyone being aggravated, but it's going too far when they're kidnapping each other. Clay was kidnapped by 3 people, most likely Bryce and Zach. I'm not sure who the third is. Now the others know Clay is a bit of a wild card and they're not sure what his next action is going to be. Well, that was the case in season 1. Going by this logic, it makes sense why he might have been attacked. It wouldn't be the first time that he made trouble for the 13 of them. The scene skips back to Jessica. When we have her in tears, there's only 2 theories I can have in this case. My first theory is the pictures that were put up calling her a slut left the student body spreading rumours of her being a slut. Or going back to the season finale of the student that was shot, she found out that it was Alex. It would be emotionally distressing knowing that someone close to you had been shot, but then it leaves questions. Did he survive? I know it was a gunshot wound to the head. Theoretically, if it grazed the side of his head, it is survivable. This stems from the theory that he was shot by someone else, though, and not self-inflicted. He did display signs of depression, which could have led him to choosing to shoot himself. However, keep that in mind when this airs, as there is the flip side to that theory. Now for the moment we're looking forward to. Bryce has been outed! Well, rumours anyway. This is suspected when his locker was defaced, but the surprising part is he didn't look all that phased. The scene was followed with the outcry of mothers holding signs up, all saying, "Justice for Hannah." Could this be because the case was dismissed, even though they have recordings of Hannah herself admitting she was raped? The student councilor is the next face we see, but he is pinning Bryce to a wall by the neck, making me wonder if Bryce managed to have the substantial evidence against him dismissed, as it was his word against the word of a girl who was unconscious at the time, and the recording of an emotionally unstable girl. So throughout the trailer, Justin seems to be working alongside Clay, but who is he threatening? Going by their rivalry, I'd suggest Clay, as he's a wild card when it came to the tapes. But he's also become emotionally unstable as things go. This is shown in the very next scene. Maybe something in the court case went wrong, like maybe Bryce not being dealt with lawfully. But as I mentioned earlier, Marcus, that's the flip side to this. If Justin was warning him instead, all of the dealings, what if Justin's warning was to him instead? All of them are dealing with a tricky situation and not one person wants to take full responsibility, so the threat could actually be directed to any of the 13 other than Justin because he's holding it. The next scene we see is an ambulance taking away a feminine figure, which I reckon is actually Jessica, which leads to the idea that the stakes are getting high. But this left our imaginations to what happened to her. The scene leads to Clay and Cypress ducking down, so it made me wonder, was it Clay that called? Was it Clay that called, or was it just a coincidence the scene changed to hint at that? The clothing is very similar to what Clay's usual attire is, though, even though it is just a shot of a smidge of his shoulder.